Do you wish coming up with story ideas was easier? Well, I've got 4 tips to help you out, and I'll demonstrate how to use them. Hi, I'm Clair, author, book coach, and developmental editor. One of the top things clients ask me about is how to come up with story ideas. Because if we don't have ideas, we can't write any books. If you do a search for how to come up with story ideas, you're going to get bombarded with writing prompts. And if you're watching this video, it's probably because those writing prompts didn't work. And there's a reason for that. Now, writing prompts do serve a purpose. It can get your creative juices flowing, have you not stare at the blank page, but they aren't necessarily in alignment with what you want to write. So let's fix that situation. My first tip is looking at what do you want to write. What we're going to do in this step is do a deep dive into genre, mood or vibe, and themes. This will really make a difference. If you already have a clear idea of exactly what that genre is, perfect. Let's head over to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or Goodreads. Pull up the genre that you're most interested in. If you're not exactly sure which genre you want to write in, or maybe you kind of fall in a couple of areas, search the title of one of your favorite books, or even better yet, a couple of those books. Then you'll be able to search within that description and you'll see the genres that that book falls under. Now you'll be able to take a look at the most popular and top-selling books within that genre. Click on some of the book titles. Take a look at the descriptions, do the little preview feature and read a little bit of the books, and you can even pop in and check out some of the book reviews. This will give you so much information about the tropes, themes, characters, setting, reader expectations that fall within your genre. When I look at the general cozy mystery category, I can see some common things popping up. It's usually a small town setting. The main character is an amateur sleuth. The vibe and the mood tends to be lighthearted. This isn't a hard-boiled detective novel or a thriller. There's usually some kind of a sidekick that works alongside of them as well, and a cast of fun small town people. When I take this a step further and I look within the subgenres, culinary cozy mysteries are very popular, as are supernatural or paranormal ones. And I click on the paranormal supernatural, I'm going to see even more subgenres to the subgenre. And I would repeat the same thing on each of these steps, take a look at some of the books, and get some ideas. Now, I kind of have an inkling of what I like. Cozy mystery, culinary, supernatural. The ghosts sound really cool. So I can write that down, and that could be a source of inspiration for doing some brainstorming. Let's do that together. I know there's going to be a murder, there's going to be a culinary theme, and there's going to be a ghost. What if my protagonist is a caterer, and she lives in a small coastal town in Massachusetts? She goes to cater a wedding at the botanical gardens, and lo and behold, stumbles upon a dead guest. It's kind of the start of an idea, but I don't have my paranormal aspect in there, and I don't have a reason for her to solve the crime. So we continue that. What if the ghost of the guest starts haunting her and won't leave her alone until she solves the crime? There we go. That's as far as I have to take this idea right now. And I would repeat that process and come up with a whole series of ideas. I might change the type of job that she has. Maybe she owns a bakery, whatever it is, and find out different ways to weave these elements together. But now the idea generation is going. It's your turn to try that one. My second tip is looking at your life to gain inspiration. Jot down what you like to do, jobs you've had, where you've lived, your hobbies, your likes, your dislikes, what terrifies you, and you're gonna get a wealth of ideas to pull from. I've had some really weird random jobs. Director of brand voice, content and copy, ranch hand, dog groomer, car salesman, hotline psychic. So now let's play a what if game here. What if the protagonist used to be a director and now is working as a ranch hand? What happened? Did they get fired? Maybe they were embezzling money from the company. Did they just realize that wasn't the work they wanted to do anymore and they really wanted to work with animals? So then they started to work on a ranch. Maybe they inherited the ranch and they left their big corporate job to go keep the family business alive. Just taking these experiences from my life has given me so many ideas. You could take that even further for also developing setting and getting even more ideas. Maybe they originally grew up in Texas and they went and took this VP job in New York. Then something happened to a family member and they gave up their big cushy director job to go home and keep the family business alive at the ranch. So you can see how pulling different ideas from your life can generate some story ideas. For the third tip, we're going to venture back to thinking about the types of books that you like to read, or movies and TV shows that you enjoy. I want you to create a master list. Just dump it out, all of your favorite books, movies, and TV shows. Write down what types of things you really liked and enjoyed from them. Think about character, theme, setting, tropes, all of those elements, even plot points that you liked. Now, write down what you didn't like. Maybe write why you liked something and why you didn't like something. That will take this even further. Then you can write what you think you could do different or better. This can give you a whole bunch of ideas of different elements that you like that you might want to include in your story, what you don't want to include in your story, because knowing what you don't like is just as important as knowing what you do like. Fourth tip is retelling a story. Now, retelling isn't stealing, because you know what? There is no 100% brand new, genuine idea out there. Everything is a retelling of something because it all has an element from another story. That is why people love stories and they keep coming back to consume more stories. If you really want to dig into this, I highly suggest the book Steal Like an Artist by Austin Kleon. So what exactly is retelling? When you're retelling a story, you're changing one or multiple elements of that story to create your own. Let's take a look at the book A Court of Thorn and Roses by Sarah Maas. This is actually a retelling of Beauty and the Beast, which has the romance trope of enemies to lovers. In Beauty and the Beast, we know the classic. The father steals a rose, so the beast takes Belle, and they're enemies, but then they end up turning into lovers. In A Court of Thorn and Roses, the protagonist is Huntress, who ends up killing a protected wolf. She is then taken to this other realm, and we have the enemies to lovers trope that ensues. They're both based on this same story of someone stealing something, becoming a captive, and then enemies to lovers. But they are their own unique stories, and people enjoy both of them, because that is what draws people to stories. We kind of know the flow. Same thing with movies. We always know what's going to happen with a romantic comedy. We know the flow of it. But we go back and we love them and we enjoy them. We read the books, we watch the films, we watch the TV shows. So what are some ways that you could retell a story? You could change the setting, whether that's the physical setting or the setting in time. Change the POV or add a different POV character. You could add other tropes. You could do mashups between a couple of different stories. Now I'm going to do an enemy to lovers romance trope to a classic fairy tale of Little Red Riding Hood. What if Little Red Riding Hood was actually 21? And she was going back to her family home, and when she got there, she discovered that the whole family had been killed by werewolves. She decides to become a werewolf hunter and avenge her family. Along the way, she discovers that the whole werewolf world is way expansive than she realized, and there's actually various clans of werewolves. She kills a werewolf and gets captured by a clan. The leader of those werewolves finds out that Little Red Riding Hood's parents were killed by the same werewolf that killed his father. He says that that werewolf is what they call a rogue, and his clan hunts down these rogue werewolves to make the world safer so his clan can live in peace. They decide to team up together. Enemies become lovers over the course of the book as they hunt down this rogue werewolf. So there you go. That is how you can do a retelling. And as you can see, it is vastly different from Little Red Riding Hood. Not only is it not a children's story, but it's, a dark romance. You could even make that into an erotic romance if you wanted to and take it all different types of ways. Now it's time to brainstorm a crap load of ideas and start to play with them. I have a workbook linked down below for you, which will give you a place to put down all these different Plot Bunny ideas and actually take you through a process I use to help clients test drive an idea to see if it's viable for a novel. If you go down below, you can click the link to download that workbook. Thank you so much for watching today. I would love to know in the comments below what little idea nugget you got from going through the exercises in this video. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you next week.